Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information with some laughs, might I add.
Hello everyone, welcome. I got a Cloud Planets champion list for you. I have a budget list version, which I'll talk first, and then I have a $100 budget that I'll talk after. Why did I pick this version of Cloud over the Commander deck or the other one? Well, because I simply think it's the best. Now, is it all that special? Somewhat. Is it all that different than like your stereotypical Boros list?
It is.
I want to kind of talk about the plus sides of this card, and then we can compare and contrast to other Boros equipment lists. I do think he's one of the best, for the reason that his top paragraph says if he's equipped, you get double strike and indestructible during your turn, which are two incredibly important keywords. Protects himself, and double strike's one of those game accelerating keywords that I feel like is integral for Voltron lists.
I must have it.
If you want to win the game. And then the bottom sentence is equip abilities that target himself cost 2 less to activate. So you get to circumvent the biggest drawback of equipment, and that is paying to re-equip your stuff.
I won't pay, no way.
Let's compare him to other Boros commanders. These are all like the best equipment lists according to EDH Rec. Nahiri's number 1 with almost 6,000 decks. I'm not the biggest fan of Nahiri, mostly because it wants you to go wide and equip multiple creatures so you get multiple attack triggers. When you play equipment, it just naturally wants you to gravitate to equipping one thing and just one-shotting people, typically. This kind of goes against the grain, makes you a little less effective. The nice part about her is you have the cost reduction, and you get some unique card advantage. Those are the plus sides to Nahiri. I guess the closest to what our commander does is the Rogak Arden combo. Arden circumvents equip costs, kind of like how Cloud does. Rogak's nice because it costs 0. You target this because it has 3 keywords on it, and then you just go to town on people. The only difference is the keywords are just different. I would much rather prefer indestructibility and double strike over first strike, menace, and trample any day of the week. That's personal preference. You can let me know in the comments below how you feel about that. I think he'll be one of the better Voltron Boros commanders. I would like him to see him top Nahiri. The likelihood, I'm not entirely sure. I think Rogak and Arden should be higher than Nahiri, but if you'll notice, I do have a high creature count, 23 in the budget list.
Why are there so many?
The reason why I prefer creatures is the moment our commander plan falls apart, I don't like being a sitting duck. Like your greatest weakness are going to be edict effects, some that makes you sacrifice your pieces. And then Cloud also loses indestructibility on other people's turns, so that's like the biggest drawback. If you wanted to go for broke, you could throw World Slayer in this list, and it'll function similarly to Zergo, the original. He does the same thing where he gives himself indestructible during your turn, so you could blow up the entire board, and then the only thing that will remain is World Slayer and Cloud, and you just win from that point forward. This is a bracket 3 list, so I couldn't include the World Slayer, but an easy auto include if you wanted to take this a notch higher. Kind of got a little sidetracked. The creature package and edict effects, I want to take advantage and lean into the strengths of our equipment, and that's that they're reusable. We could turn anything into a threat.
Gotta give up, senor. You cannot kill us all.
Most of my creatures double as something else. So like it's card advantage on a stick or removal on a stick. The drawback of that is we interact at sorcerer speed. But like I said, I wanted to lean into our strengths, and that's just a personal build preference of mine. But if you love Voltron and you find yourself sitting around doing nothing a lot of the time because your commander keeps getting killed, I highly recommend you take a page out of my book. Sid's new. I want to give him a try. I don't know if this price point will stick. It's only going to be rare, so I expect this to be like $5 or less at some point. Cloud Midgard Mercenary. This is basically the new version of Stoneforge Mystic. Lets you tutor for any equipment. It's kind of cool because it says as long as Cloud is equipped. It doesn't specify which Cloud. So I think this will also double your commander's triggers if you have any on him, which you want, because I think I'm interpreting this correctly. This could be just like WotC being lazy with writing full names, but in my interpretation of rulings for Magic, if you don't specify, then you open the doors to other things.
This is a mistake.
You just follow the rules based on the letter, and the letter just says cloud. This is also a cloud. Conspiracy theorists stick with card advantage. Druger Hedge Mage removal on a stick. Emberhearth Challenger, card advantage on a stick. Sentinels card advantage. Flametongue Caboose removal on a stick. I love these effects. Same with like Fury and the Pyrogoyf. Super busted. If you haven't tried playing it, it feels broken to play against. Giver of Runes, Protector Commander. Anti's card advantage. Kedis, this will reduce how many times we have to hit people because it distributes the damage to everyone else. So you attack the most vulnerable player that can't block you. You deal double strike damage. Deal a ton to that person, and then this does that much damage to everything else. Now, Kedis doesn't count as commander damage, so you might lethally hit one person. It's still a lot of damage, and it's a lot less damage you have to dedicate to hitting someone else. So, like, say we kill the most vulnerable person, we do like 20 points of non-combat damage with Kedis to everyone else. Now all we have to do is hit the next vulnerable person, they die to commander damage, and then the player that remains will just die to the Kedis trigger, which is one less attack. When it comes to aggro decks, you want to clean up as fast as you can.
Less is more.
It's a card advantage tutor on a stick. It itself also has double strike, so it's pretty intimidating to suit up. And since we do have a pretty decent sized creature package, a stat increase for each aura and equipment on him. Inkara the Diplomat, card advantage on a stick. Mother Runes, Protector Commander. Pure Steel Paladin, card advantage on a stick. And it also circumvents equip costs once we have Metalcraft. Cyclically Evaporation, removal on a stick, advantage on a stick. And then Stoneforge Mystic, another card advantage, but it's tutor on a stick. Now, because Cloud gives himself indestructible, we get to take advantage of all the fun, cheap, efficient board wipes and then not lose our key piece. Full Throttle, I'm surprised this is $1.90, but this should be a finisher. You should be able to kill 2, if not 3 opponents with resolution of this spell. If you've got enough equipment on Cloud, you could probably get there. Waves of Aggression, I like this. We could use it multiple times if we discard a land. If we have excess mana, which could occur based on a couple of things, we could have a Sword of Feast and Famine in play, or we can have the Reaver Cleaver and make a bunch of treasure tokens. Yeah, it puts them in untap, so you could potentially use this multiple times in a single turn and finish off multiple people. Legion Leadership, I love doubling power. It's strictly better than Double Strike. We don't need Double Strike, you can only have Double Strike once on something, so doubling power, in theory, can infinitely scale. So like, if you double power and double power again, it's quadrupled.
I'm good with calculation.
And it doubles as a land, so we could cheat on our land count a little bit. Adaptive Vommy Tool, it's a card advantage piece, lets you look for more equipment. Black-Bladed Forge, it's a finisher. Bloodforged Battle Axe, this is kind of fun to talk about, since the cost reduction is reduced by 2, and because Cloud has double strike, we effectively hit twice, meaning we make double the Bloodforged Battle Axe tokens, and then we could just equip them free, and with every subsequent combat, we make more and more Bloodforged Battle Axes. The equipment has the ability, and they're all individualized. So if I hit someone with this one time with just one axe, I make 2, and then say I equip those on for free. Next time I hit someone, I make 3 more. And like, this on its own could win you games. It's pretty sick for 41 cents. Buster Sword, can't be playing Cloud without his personal weapon, and it's actually really good. We want as many damage triggers as we can get. There's not a lot of equipment that do that. I'm running as many as you can. All the swords do this. I like this one a lot because we get to draw cards and circumvent casting costs. Commander's Plate, Protection, Evasion. Protection is like the most obnoxious keyword of keywords. It just does so much. Keeps your guy alive, makes it impossible for people to block you, can't be damaged, can't be targeted. I feel like Protection is
another huge mistake
that Wizards has made, and they can't go back. The damage is done. It's probably one of the best keywords in a Voltron list that you could ask for. Dragonfly Blade reduces its cost by 2 because Cloud is 2 colors, and then it gets reduced to 0 from Cloud's bottom sentence. And it's a stat increase, hexproof and monocolored, which is more common than you think. Multicolor removal is kind of rare. A lot of people don't run it. It's usually cheap and efficient, like Plowshares, Path to Exile. And if you notice something, most spells are monocolored. You just don't think about that in your deck construction or when you see people's decks. Multicolored cards, they're rarer than people think. So I feel like this blade is more effective than people give it credit for based on its price point. Excalibur Sword of Eden, 6 stat increase, gives vigilance. Grafted Exoskeleton, this effectively makes it so we need to do less damage to people. Just need to do 10 points and they die to infect. Inquisitor's Flail, we double damage back to our commander, but he's indestructible, so
I don't care.
and then we double our damage output. Naganita, +3/+0. And trample. Shadow Spear, lifelink, and we can take away hexproof and indestructible for other people's stuff. Lifelink and vigilance are my favorite defensive keywords because it lets us attack with reckless abandon and it makes it hard for people to tag us back. With fire and ice, we plink people's stuff off, draw cards twice, hopefully per combat. Sword of Fortress Frontier, we get card advantage and we get additional land drops. Sword of Hearth and Home, tutor for lands. Some of these are really good at flickering. Our removal on a stick are great to flicker with this. Sinew Seal lets us shoot off artifacts and planeswalkers. Now, the planeswalker effect is rare, but when it does happen, it feels super good. Most of the time, I just blow people's artifacts with this, and I can do it twice a turn. It's probably, I'd say artifacts are the second most popular permanent type in the game. It always hits. Umuzajite. Whenever we deal damage with our commander, we get a charge counter, 2 of them. It's super scary because our commander has double strike. We effectively put 4 on every time we connect with a person or a thing, and then we get to put people on this scary bubble of removing stuff with a -1/-1 or giving a stat increase. It could be lethal or getting life. If you've never been under the thumb of Umuzaw's Jit, you will learn why.
I'm in danger!
It's super busted equipment. Just 1 combat is all it takes, and then you're kind of sweating with this thing. Aggravated Assault combos with our Sword of Feast of Famine and Reaver Cleaver, gives us infinite combats. Fighter class lets us tutor for an equipment, and it's level 2 is really good. I don't know if I'd ever do the level 3. It probably after our commanders died several times. Card advantage, and that brings us to the end of this list. So let's go and talk about the budget version. I'm only going to talk about the things that are unique. I know I said this is $100. Ignore this price point because, like Cloud, this is going to be in the dual deck. There's no way that this is going to be worth $32. So I took that into account. This is probably going to be around $105 if I had to guess. This is probably going to be worth pennies. It's going to be a cheap mythic. Not only does it come in the dual decks, but you could also get it as like a stretched horizontal card from like the collector's packs. It's overpriced. Like, why spend $32 for this when you could spend $25 and get both the decks?
Where did they come up with this stuff?
It doesn't make any sense what this price point is. Just ignore them. Armory Paladin, whenever you cast an equipment or an aura, we exile the top card of our library. It's a nice impulse because we get until our next turn to cast that. Because we don't get as cool of an equipment package, like we get less swords to work with, so we just substitute that with more extra combat steps. Overpowering attacks, one of those. Relentless Assault, just slightly less efficient than the ones we've already talked about, but they're cheap, both monetary wise and CMC wise. These are still effective at killing multiple people a turn. Great Train Heist, another extra combat. Response Resurgence doubles as removal and an extra combat. Butcher's Cleaver, kind of a fun card. Cloud is a human, so he will gain lifelink. It's effectively like locks out on Warhammer, just not as good as you don't give it trample, but the stat increase is nice. Who doesn't like +3/+0? Chainsaw, it's removal, gives you stat increases based on things dying. Gimli's Axe, it gives our guy +3/+0. And Menace, that's super obnoxious for people to like commit to blocking with 2 things if they want to stuff out our damage, and that might not even be effective enough. Golem Skin Gauntlets gets +1/+0 for every equipment attached to something. Hero's Heirloom gives a stat increase, trample, and haste. Perfect. There's a lot of like sweet equipment on a budget that like I was perfectly okay with losing out on swords and just replacing with all this fun, cool stuff. Stuff that I never get to play with, to be honest. Hexblade Wallbreaker, another extra combat step. Normally the equip cost is like a drawback, but because of Cloud, it's reduced to 2. It's negligible, and it's pretty good. Talked about Warhammer. Mask of Memory. This is another damage trigger. We see 2 cards, discard 1. We effectively net 2 cards if we connect twice. Nemesis gives the equipped creature +1/+1 for every artifact enchantment we control. Sword of Vengeance, a stat increase, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste. Everything a growing boy needs. Tends to go to a small, another stat increase, trample. Is kind of fun. It's a rock that also turns itself into a stat increasing equipment. Empower Suit gives a stat increase, as well as Ward. Zephyr Boots, flying and card advantage. Grim Reaper Sprint gives an additional combat step.
You know, one must attack, attack, attack!
Brings us to the end of the list. If you want, you go in here and vote on the next 4 decks I build and play on the channel. These have already been determined. Hope to see you in the future. Take care now. Bye.